Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the HR Leaders Podcast, the show where we explore the future of work with industry experts and HR executives from the world's leading global brands. Today, we have a special guest on the show. We're joined by Noeline Kirabo, who's an author, TED speaker, and founder of Kyusa. Welcome to the show, Noeline. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Before we jump in, tell everyone a little bit more about yourself and your journey to where we are today.
Okay, thank you. My journey is being one of self-discovery, but also one of self-initiation. So I am a former school dropout, and that's been the major turning point in my life. And so being able to design my own learning curriculum, so to say, using free online courses, getting into formal employment, working my way up the career ladder, and then realizing there's actually more to life than just being able to earn some good money and make a living. And so in answering the question of legacy is when I quit and decided to pursue my passion, which led to Kyusa, working with other young people and helping them find their passion and turning it into profitable businesses. So that's been my journey in a brief.
Wow, that was very brief there, but there's a lot more is a lot more I want to jump into because it's a pretty fascinating and journey for everyone. Tell everyone a little bit more about the organization, though, before we jump into more. Tell everyone a bit more about the organization itself and the work that you do, because it's great.
Yeah, sure. So Kyusa, we are registered as an NGO in Uganda. We are a for-impact organization that works with youth in marginalized communities. We work with out-of-school youth and empower them to identify what they're passionate about and turn those passions into profitable businesses. So we work with youth in low-income communities, that's urban slums, rural areas, and refugee camps. And we help them look inward to find what is it that they really care about, what are the skills and talents they have, and then support them to build business models around those things that enable them to become profitable, to ensure they're scalable, but also sustainable in the long run. And we've been on operation since 2014. And it's been an amazing journey, but also one that is enriching to see the transformation in the lives of these young people.
I bet in terms of, purpose and passion, it doesn't really get much more purposeful than that. Just for context, everyone, a few weeks ago, I was on TED on the website and I came across Noeline's video and it really inspired me to think more about my own passions and lean into it. And your own personal journey was really inspiring. How did that happen from the work that you did? Did TED reach out to you and say, could you come and speak at TED? What did that look like for you?
So being at TED was an outlier experience for me. And yes, I've always aspired to start on international stages, but I didn't see that one coming. So I am an author, so I released 2 books in 2017. And in 2018, I met a lady, Jacqueline Novogratz, the CEO of Acumen. And so in our conversation, we talk, and yes, I was a bit threatened, but I did give her a copy of my books, and she read the books. And so that's how I got nominated for TED. So I got nominated, and then I went through the interview process, and that's how I got onto the TED stage.
Yeah. Well, I understand it's pretty tough, right? In terms of your own learning and growth. It must have been pretty scary. What does the journey look like? Because I know it's pretty rigorous.
Really tough.
Yeah.
It is. So just like many people, I thought it's supposed to be like, if you've done public speaking before, you kind of feel like, I know my content, I know what I talk about. But I can tell you for a TED talk that I'm supposed to deliver in November, preparation started in August. And I'm not talking about live preparation, back and forth emails, Zoom calls, interviews, writing a script, video recording, audio recordings. It was, by the time you get to the stage, you have literally sharpened yourself, your skill, your content. It's like you can give that speech in your sleep because you've done it over and over the hours that are invested in practice. But
yeah, I can only imagine. You're cutting out a little bit, Noeline, just so you know. So if you can't hear me well, just let me know, and I'll repeat the question because I'm losing you a little bit in terms of the signal. But don't worry, we're good for now. I'm just letting you know. So obviously the topic of this, what inspired this topic that we obviously talking about, the 2 questions to uncover your passion and turn it into a career? Where did that start for you, and why is that so important?
The topic about passion, I missed a bit of that.
Yes. Yes. So, what was it around, obviously, first and foremost, how do you describe passion to people? And then how do we go about finding our passion?
Okay, thank you. So, passion in the simplest form for me is whatever it is that gives you that deepest sense of fulfillment. It's that one thing that drives you, that motivates you, that fulfills you. And we all have those things. And it's not a one size fits all. So, in discovering your passion, you need to look inward, not outward. It's not the external factors. It's just you and yourself. And so I like to use the 2 basic questions. And the first one being, if you had all the time and the money in the world, what would you spend your time doing? And it's always intriguing to realize that it seems like a very simple question, but people struggle to find answers to that question because half the time we're in the rush to go through life to make ends meet, to pay the bills, that we don't even stop to question what is it that makes me happy? And I've personally been in that place where someone asked me, what makes you happy? And I didn't know. I didn't know because I hadn't thought about happiness. I was thinking about paying the bills. I was thinking about staying on my job. I was thinking about delivering on my targets and stuff like that. And so just being able to say, okay, other factors being constant, if I had everything in place, what would I do? And that's where you begin to start looking inward and finding those things that, would give you the fulfillment, would give you the joy, but more importantly, the sense of meaning. Because all of us as human beings, most in a time like this, we are all looking for meaning. We are all looking for significance. We are looking for something deeper than just going through the routines. COVID has showed us that there's more to life than just the routines.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest, that's one of the silver linings, I think, for me personally, coming out of being on lockdown. I've actually been able to lean into some and discover some passions and revisit some of those passions that whether it's skateboarding for me, or painting, or there's so many things I've been doing recently, or that I just haven't done in many years, or other new passions that I've had time to discover because of lockdown being confined. But it's an interesting question, right? When you sit down and ask yourself, if I could choose, what would I be doing? I can imagine a lot of people are so caught up in just work and everyday life that they haven't really had an opportunity just to sit down and reflect and answer that question. Because one of the things that you said during your TED talk, which I thought was I could relate to, is when we grow up, we're expected that we go and get a job, a stable job, and we stick with it, even if we don't like it and we hate it. If it's good money, you stick with it, or you wait until you get a better offer before you move companies, right? It's just like predetermined route that we're all expected to follow. And very few people go outside of that like you have, and like I did as well.
That's very true. And the reason why many people don't step out is fear. The thing about being in formal employment, and I can understand where our parents come from when they say get a job. And when they mean a job, they mean a formal job
Yeah.
where you're paid at, your sure much salary at the end of the month. And it's kind of understandable. And for anyone who has been employed, you know that it's very safe. It feels very secure because the paycheck is coming through. You're not worried about where the money is coming from. It's not your job. It's a top management job to figure out where your money comes from. And so that is always scary when people think about their passions and the fact that for the first time, they're going to have to figure out where the money is coming from. They're going to have to figure out how to make things run. And that can be very scary. However, the other thing I'd like to note is talking about discovering passions. I've also have had conversations with people where they say, so now I have all these passions. What do I do about them? It's also critical to realize that not every passion can become a career. Not every passion can become a profession. So again, it's critical to be able to sort it out. The fact that I love it and enjoy it, the critical question is, can I make a living out of it? Because there are things you just enjoy and it's your hobby. It's something you just do in your relaxation time. But then there are those things that you can monetize because you're so good at it, you love it, you enjoy it, and you can deliver excellently. So people can actually pay you for it. So critically also sorting through your passions to know what passion you can pursue as a career and those passions that you can just enjoy as a person is also very important, because if you are enjoying your passion or pursuing your passions but they're not profitable, it's going to get frustrating, because yes, you still have bills, you still have responsibilities, you still have many things to take care of.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And when I was thinking about, so just going back a second, you also said in your video about how you have a stable job, you've got the job title, it's a great company, but you still weren't happy. And I know exactly what you mean by that. I thought that when I next get that next pay rise, I'm going to be happy, or that next promotion. And every time I got there, I was like, I'm not fulfilled. Why? And I didn't understand it in myself. I was like, why? I should be really happy right now. You know, in the grand scheme of things, I'm doing really well, but they didn't really feel like there was a sense of purpose in what I was doing that I could relate to. And when I was looking outside of how do I combine my passions and to it being a career, that's where this podcast came to life. So myself and Ivan, who you met before the show, who produces the show, we were really passionate about content, video editing, photography, videography. And we also obviously worked in the human resources space. So it was like, let's combine both those passions and launch a podcast and launch a LinkedIn live show and launch, you know, these global online summits to combine the skills we have with the passion in order for it to become a viable business. Because a lot of people do say that to me, though. I get your point. They say, that's all well and good, Chris, but my passion doesn't pay me any money. so it's all well and good. So you do have to find ways of making that. And you, as you said, not all passions will be, you know, viable businesses and careers as well. So that makes sense.
Yes. So I think just like you, when you decide that you're going to pursue your passion, it's taking a step of faith. It's taking a leap of faith, literally. Especially like for me, I had to leave my job. That meant for the next couple of months, no salary. I didn't have much savings. I had to figure out. So for me, I also know that as a person, I thrive on challenges. I thrive on risk. So it's easy for me to take a risk and say, I'm
Yeah.
going to pursue this thing and try it. What I normally tell people, especially for example, you are a husband, you have a wife, you have a family to take care of, and you really want to jump into your passion, you really want to pursue it. I normally tell people to take baby steps. Try it out in small phases, especially if you have responsibilities, because then it's being irresponsible for you to just leave your job without a plan. I had myself to take care of. I didn't have a baby to take care of at that time. So that was a little easy. I had my family to fall back to. I could go back to my mother's house at that time. But for people that have responsibility, I say take baby steps. Try it out in phases. And as it grows, you begin to phase yourself out, because it's going to be hard for you to grow a passion business and continue to be fully employed, because you're going to give more of your time to either one, and one is going to suffer. So phase it out. As it grows, begin to phase out of your job, and then that reduces the risk, that reduces the pressure, that reduces the anxiety that comes with just jumping in all the way. But if you are a young person and you can take risks, and you have some kind of backup mutual support, people that can hold your back for a moment, then it's very okay. But the reality is that it's always going to be scary. It's going to be very scary to
Yeah.
just venture out, because sometimes you don't even know if it's going to work or not. But
Yeah.
you'll never
You
know if
are
it's
right.
going to work or not unless you try.
Yeah, exactly. And I completely agree with your points. You do need to prepare in advance, but at the same time, there's never a good time. There's never a good time to start a company or to do it. It's always going to be a risk. And for me, it was probably the worst time to start up. You know, I just bought a house, had a mortgage, just got married, having our first baby. It was probably the worst time ever for me to quit my job. But I realized there's never a good time to do it. But what I did do, like you're saying, is I prepared. I built our website in advance. I prepared our business plan and where we were going, what we were doing. I spoke to customers and made sure is this actually a solution they need and that they want, and validated that over a month. And then I gave myself 3 months. So I literally had 3 months of cash that if I didn't make it work in 3 months, myself and Shane, the worst case scenario is we go back to our jobs. And we yeah, we were very confident that we're great at what we do in sales in our previous company. They would hire us back, not to be arrogant, but we were just great at what we did. So why wouldn't they? So we thought, what's the worst that's going to happen, right? We try it out for 3 months. If it doesn't work, we'll go and get our job back again. And here we are, right? 3 years later. It wasn't easy, but it never is. If it was easy, everyone would do it. That's another thing to think about as well.
Very true.
Yeah. What another thing that I'd love to share is like you mentioned it briefly at the beginning of the show, but talking about how you leveraged free online courses to grow, develop, build the business and your own yourself. Could you talk more about that? Because it's something that, you know, so many people don't take advantage of all the incredible resources that exist out there for free. You could literally build and learn anything online. And I love the way that you explain that in your TED Talk.
Yes. So when I started doing free online courses, at that time it was a very new concept. As a matter of fact, people ask me, does it work at all? Is it authentic? Can you get certified and all these things? And I did. And that's how I built my first CV, got into employment, then went back and did more formal courses. And so the reality is that oftentimes when people want to step out and start something, we always want to start with a grand entrance, so many resources. In Africa, a lot of times young people say the reason they haven't started is a lack of capital. And I like to say, look around you. What do you have? For example, instead of building a new platform, why don't you leverage already existing platforms? There are so many apps, there are so many tools. Like someone is already done it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can build onto what other people have already built and then just do it differently. And then just find your niche and then distinguish yourself from everybody else that's doing what you do. And that takes very little. A typical example in the space of entrepreneurship is that right now it's much more easier to start a mobile business than to start a business, like in a particular place, because it's capital intensive. But right now people are selling online. You don't even have to have a shop. You can sell right from your house. So it's just understanding what are the market trends, how are things shifting, where are the customers, and what are some of the platforms that already exist I can leverage. And a lot of these things are free. It's a global village, and so a lot of these things are free. You just have to be intentional in finding the resources. And also the other thing is right now, thanks to Google and YouTube and all these platforms, you can literally learn anything. You can teach yourself anything because the
Anything.
resources are there. So you don't have an excuse to say I'm passionate about this. Yeah, like literally anything, change a tire, cooking. I don't know what you can't learn on YouTube these days. Anything, a language, any skill. So we're without excuse. You just have to be self-driven. You just have to be intentional about it.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I have no formal education myself, right? And I kind of quit college, never went to university, and I was like, everything I need to learn, I can do it online. Obviously I missed the social element, I suppose, that my friends always tell me about how amazing it is to go to university. But I was like, why do I want to get myself in debt? I can literally learn everything that you're talking about online for free. Yes, I don't have the formal, degree and the certificate to go along with it, but I have the knowledge and I can apply it. And more importantly, I can apply it, because it's one thing knowing something and another thing executing it and actually putting it into action. And that's something that the culture we've built at HR Leaders is we're very good at learning something's one thing, but putting it into action and executing on it is where we are our biggest strength in what we do. But still, you mentioned, again, I've watched so many videos of yours now, I feel like I'm stalking you at this point, but you also talk about how there's many kids in Africa that talk about, oh, I don't have the education. I don't have the degree. That seems to be something in their head that they still think they need to succeed, right?
It's very true. So the culture within Africa
Yeah.
has been built around the four walls of a classroom. So our parents, the generation of our parents, have a lot of respect for academic qualifications because that's how they were raised to believe that for your status is dependent on your academic qualifications. However, looking at the current generation, things have changed. And so it's understanding. And I like what you say. From an HR perspective, as an employer, when I am employing people, I am not employing you based on your papers. Your papers, it just get you onto the shortlist, get into the interview room. But beyond that point, I am looking for competence. Can you get the job done? Because I don't pay you to have a bachelor's degree or have a master's degree. It earns me nothing as an employer. I need to know, can you deliver? Can you give me results? And so that's the most critical thing that young people need to understand. So when I say you can teach yourself anything, you can literally learn anything. And it's not head learning. It's the ability to understand it, to analyze it, but also to apply it to real life solutions. So as long as you're bringing solution to the marketplace, as long as you're bringing value, people pay you. People pay for value. They don't pay for qualifications. What's the value you're offering be? And that's what I'm going to be able to pay for. So that's where the trick comes in, that we have a generation of young people that are so stuck on academic qualifications for the sake of just getting papers. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, Chris, when you interview someone, especially in a Uganda context, I've seen it. You interview someone that has a master's degree and they can't even do the basic Microsoft Word, Excel. I'm like, what is going on with this education system?
Yeah.
And I'm happy to work with the dropouts who can deliver results.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's funny because early on in my career, that was a hurdle for me because I didn't have the qualifications. I would still apply. So even though it said you need 2 years experience and a degree, I would apply for those jobs anyway. And when I was being interviewed, I would say, you know, why do I need a degree to be a successful salesperson? Right? Like, can you explain to me, to the HR director, can you explain to me? And they couldn't explain it. I said, like, I'm here to deliver results. What do you want to measure me on? Do you want to measure me on the sales I bring in and the customer delight that we deliver? Or do you want to measure me on the fact that I have a qualification? And that was as a 17-year-old. In my first job, I got told, no, you can't have this job. You don't have the qualification. So I said, fine, let me work for free. I'll work for free for a few months and then you can pay me because I know I'm going to succeed in sales. And then that's how I got my first job. And I was there for 10 years and became one of the most successful salespeople that ever hired based on this criteria that didn't exist as well. So completely can relate to that. For HR leaders that are listening to this, how can they use, in terms of investing in passion alignment for their team, how does this help them increase motivation and productivity in their organization?
Okay. As HR leaders, first of all, I would like to pick up from what you just shared. The example that you're able to get in. My first job was the same story. Being able to look beyond papers and give people an opportunity. You know, when a young person who doesn't have the papers walks in and tells me, give me an opportunity, prove me wrong after 1 month. If I don't deliver, fire me. Absolutely, I'm going to give them an opportunity. So first of all, the way we're recruiting people, we need to move past papers to begin to look for competence, but also critically to find, before we even get into passion alignment, we need to get into value alignment. Because if you get the people on your team that don't share the same values, it's going to be hard. So once we have those foundations basically covered, what people are looking for right now as employees, I've had conversations with some HR people, and one critical question is, what's my purpose? What's the sense of meaning? What after? Because people have lost confidence in their jobs. They know that it's temporary. It's something that is shifting anytime, but they're looking for a deeper sense of meaning. So HR professionals invest in capacity building that is looking more inward. It's not about job performance. It's about being interested in the person. Personal development is a critical aspect of development within the workplace right now. Being able to understand what is the employee interested in, what is their dream, what is their aspiration, and how can we begin to help them realize some of those things while at, because then their motivation is going to be boosted. Pay alone is not going to motivate people, but then people are looking for work that is aligned to their inner self. So that connection is very important, where we're building capacity beyond just your ability to deliver on a job, but your ability to be the best version of yourself as a person. And so looking at things like occupational therapists, looking at coaching in the marketplace is going to be a worthwhile investment for companies, because that is what is going to get employees to buy, to want to stay, because once their inner fears have been attended to, they don't have to worry about all these external factors. Because right now there's a lot of internal turmoil that is going on in people's lives. And so you need to help them realize you are vital as a person with or without this job, because this is what you stand for. And this is the value you bring to the marketplace. You can sell it anywhere. Beyond that point, any employee will settle and they'll actually be able to commit and deliver the way you desire for them to deliver.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely agree, and that's something that I always struggled in my career was the why. We discussed it a bit earlier in the show, right? When it's no longer about salary, when it's no longer about job titles, you know, if you don't have the purpose, it's very difficult to stay engaged and motivated in what you do. And I think coming out of COVID, many people are going to be looking at organizations in a different way, thinking about, you know, do they really align with my purpose, and what you know what how can I impact that organization, and those are the companies that are going to win, as well. So I think employer brand is definitely something that companies need to work on, and obviously making sure that we design jobs that align with people's purposes, as well. So that's a great point, that you mentioned there.
Yeah.
Um,
And
what go on, sorry, go for it.
yeah, I would say it's also critical for us as employers, as people that run companies and businesses, to articulate the why. Because many times when people get into a job, they are given a job description, they're given a contract, they know what they're supposed to deliver, but oftentimes the purpose is not well articulated. The purpose, the mission of your company, of your business, because people are constantly looking for a higher purpose. They want to be aligned to something deeper than just money. So we as employers, we as senior management, it's also critical for us to articulate what's the core purpose. Why do we exist? Why is it important? How does it change lives? How does it transform? How does it make the planet a better place? Because then it shifts people's attention from just doing a job to living purpose. And so they'll walk into the workplace and it shifts from just being a job to get money to this, whatever I do, whether I'm in procurement or whatever I do, makes a difference. It's changing lives. It's making the planet a better place. So articulation of purpose at every level of leadership is very crucial in this season.
Yeah, is that something you discuss internally with the kids that are kids that are part of Kyusa? Do you try to sit down and talk them through that, and make them understand that yes, you may want to go this direction with your business, but what is the purpose behind that? Is that something you talk with them about?
Yes. A lot of our trainings, the fundamental block in all our trainings is personal development. And in personal development, before we even get into your business model, before we get into the market trends and all these things, the branding and marketing, we start with you as a person. We are very interested in the entrepreneur, because the success of any business is dependent on the caliber of the entrepreneur. So being able to understand you as an entrepreneur, do you have do you know your vision? Do you have a personal mission? What are your values? What drives you? What motivates you? What inspires you? Beyond making money, why do you really want to do this? Why does it matter? And so the more clearer the entrepreneurs are about their purpose, the more clear they are about their why, it becomes easy to communicate it as they begin to build a team. It becomes easy to kind of have it as their true north. That when the going gets tough, they go back to the why did I start in the beginning? Because every business is going to have highs and lows. And what keeps you on track is what got you started in the first place. So that needs to be clear from the very beginning. So it's a critical mass of what we cover when we're working with young people.
Yeah, you just read my mind, by the way, because when you were saying that, my first thought was there's so many entrepreneurs that give up and quit, and it's because they came into it with the wrong intentions, or they just wanted to make money, right, and get rich quick, and they weren't really passionate about it, and it wasn't really aligned with their values and their purpose. Because when you go through really hard times, that's what you can lean into, is your purpose. That never changes. We've seen that during COVID. We've seen that during lockdown as well. The businesses that are thriving are the ones that are leaning into their purpose, and it's just a foundation of every business, that you have there. And we've had really hard times here at HR Leaders, and that's what we go back to. You know, why are we here? We're here to help shape the future of work for employees and for the lasting benefit of society. That's what we want to do, and we're doing that for our content. We just need to change the way we do that for a while. We can't do it face to face at the moment, so we're going to do it online. Here we are. As well. But that's a very good point, because you see so many people that go into this, and if you don't have a strong sense of purpose and a strong why, when times are tough, you will give up. And I see that a lot with even friends and family of mine that started their businesses. Unfortunately, I've seen that happen. It's a very important point, as well. But before we wrap up, Noeline, if there's sort of go for it. We've got a bit of delay here, so I didn't catch what you were going to say. Go for it.
Yeah, Yeah, I wanted to say that that the time in which we are, one of the things we've been talking about with business owners is renegotiating the terms. So when times are hard, as a business owner, you're faced with a challenge to keep people or let them go. There's been the whole thing about essential workers and non-essential workers, and the thing is, for us to say renegotiate, if people buy into your why, if people buy into the critical reason why you exist. We have had some businesses where employees have actually suggested and said, you know what, I'm willing to work for half the pay because I believe in this vision, I believe in this mission. And so if we're going to cut down a bit for us to stay afloat, we want everybody to stay on board. And for me, I find that amazing. It's much more powerful than just saying, you know what, we can't keep you, we're laying you off. And then I've also had business owners that have literally had these conversations with their teams and said, you know what, I can't afford to pay you right now, but I really believe in all of you. I would love to keep the team. What do you think? And these conversations have shifted in so many ways. One of the business owners said their team was willing to volunteer their time. And they said, we're going to put in 6 months just to let it get up and running. And that's why I find this talk about purpose and passion very crucial, because people are beginning to live from the inside. Their commitment is driven not anymore by the material things, it's driven more by the intrinsic drive to make a difference. And so, as business owners, we also need to come to embrace that vulnerability and be able to hold the courageous conversations and put it out there and let our teams kind of reason with us on what we can do and how we can go forward.
Yeah, I think that transparency and that vulnerability is a huge strength as a leader to lean into. And I've also seen many companies, like you're saying, that have said, look, we either we all take together, we all take a 20% reduction in salary, or we're going to have to let these people go. And we've seen some organizations where they have incredible culture and values and purpose say, yes, we're all happy to do that. And I've seen others that said, no way, I'm not taking a pay cut at all, because they're there for themselves, they're in it for themselves, not for the business, and to deliver impact to their customers, which is unfortunate. So it's that's a very good point that you mentioned there. Before we wrap up, Noeline, and conscious of time, if there's sort of one parting message you want to give everyone, what would that be? And then where can everyone connect with you personally to learn more about the work, the great work that you do in your organization?
Okay. Thank you. So the one thing that I would leave with all of us is, in this time and this season, we need to look inward. All of us are required to begin to live from the inside out. That's if that's not where you've been, you need to articulate for yourself what matters, what's important, what drives you, what's that eternal motivation, the thing that this I can live for, this I can die for. And then bringing that same concept into our workplaces, we need to begin to build workplace cultures that are built around commitment to core values, commitment to our core purpose as a business, as an organization. And then in terms of capacity building and HR investment, let's be interested in the person, not just their ability to deliver on a job, but as a person beyond their job. What do they really care about? And how can I help them to begin to live that purpose, to begin to actualize the things they truly care about in their daily work? And so to know more about the work that I do, I work with an organization called Kyusa, and you can visit us on our website, www.kyusa, which is KYUSAUG.org. So to just get to know, we are on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and Twitter, just to see the stories of the young people and how they're being transformed using the same model, turning their passions into professions.
Amazing. Well, look, thank you so much for all of the work that you do. Truly inspiring, and it really is changing lives. So thank you so much. I want to recognize you for all of the amazing work you do. So thank you for that. For everyone listening, make sure you go and connect with Noeline. Check out the website. Check out her TED Talk. I'll post that in the description for you. And any way we can help you, let me know. And we'll be there for you. And apart from that, keep up the incredible work. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Okay. See you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.